Culturally wise, the way relationships are being made and kept has changed considerably over the last 40 or so years. While there have been many changes, great and small, the ones that we are going to look at today are cohabitation, the definition being if two people, especially a man and a woman, who are not married, cohabit, they live together and have sexual relationship, and also the rise of online dating and hanging out, instead of going on dates that are planned out activities with one another. The reason I'm pointing this out is because the problems that plague cohabitation have a similar link to the problems that plague our new dating habits. Cohabiting and hanging out lead to weaker marriages due to creating a much weaker foundation than that of traditional dating into courtship with marriage. To first understand this, let's look at the problems of hanging out from a talk by one of our prophets, seers, and revelators, Dallas H. Oaks, in his talk Dating versus Hanging Out. He talks about the problems that this culture of hanging out ends up creating for people who are dating. To summarize what he said, several things are lost when we don't date by planning activities together instead of hanging out. The first thing is that is going on is that it takes effort to plan out a date. In planning out dates, that oftentimes the man is able to show and maybe even learn to become a better leader and provider. Since one of the most important tasks as a leader is the ability to plan and lead someone through that plan. Another is that oftentimes when you don't go on dates and just hang out, you don't create any memories or good experiences. This is important when times are tough and frustrating because oftentimes marriage partners try to look back on the relationship, and if they had any really good experiences, it can lead to hope for the future. But if there isn't that great memory, the relationship oftentimes can be on thin ice. Another thing is that dating brings the hanging out because of its minimal effort, oftentimes bring minimal results. Many people have believed, I was one of them somewhat, that you are able to know somebody better hanging out with them for many hours instead of going on a date once a week for a few. The problem is that oftentimes you get to know somebody more by doing different activities with them instead of doing the same thing over and over again. Many people want to have a relationship where they get to know the person before getting married, yet the achieve that isn't always straightforward. Many people often counteract this argument during the time and during the time that Elder Oaks talk was the contentious topic for some, that by most of our time at on that other by spending most of our time at another person's place is a great way to know if we would want to marry that person, since by marrying that person you'll be living and spending a great deal of time in that same place as them. Many people follow this line of logic and fall into a huge pitfall that since I am getting to know that person so much by staying at their place, also that I'm spending a lot of time with them, that I really don't need to go on dates with them to get them to know them more. We're fine as is. That would be a frivolous thing and unnecessary as we already have experienced seen a married-like lifestyle. And this leads straight into the problem in connection with cohabitation. Cohabitation, for a long time, was introduced as a test room for marriage for people. Since many people are still divorcing, then maybe it would be better if people took the relationship step by step instead of jumping into marriage. And many studies have shown that people who cohabitate and then marry are more likely divorced than people who go straight into marriage. Like with hanging out versus going on dates, the problem is that the foundation is weak. They get la- they they get laxed and they don't get the difficult experiences, good or bad. Good ones to remember and hard ones to learn from. And thus the relationship has a hard time in keeping strong over the difficulties over the years.